Welcome or welcome back for this week's Human Design Transit Report. Today is Monday, August 22nd, 2022, and the new transit starts tomorrow on the 23rd, and that's what I'm going to spend most of my time talking about today. So if you want to see where we are right now, go and then check out last week's transit report because that transit is still good as of today. Before we dive into more of the specifics of where the sun and the earth are, which is generally what I focus on for my transit reports, I also want to make some comments about what's happening with the retrograde season. And if you haven't had a chance to check out my series about retrograde season 2022, you can see the playlist right here, and I highly suggest that you go and check it out. There's one or maybe two more videos that are going to come out in that series, but I have found it very illuminating for me as I went and I did my research for it. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So briefly, the outer planets go retrograde for significant periods of time every single year. And generally what they do is that they've been going direct in a gate, and then they turn around and they retrograde. Sometimes they go all the way back into the previous gate, and then they turn around and they go forward. And what I discovered going into the research for that series about the retrogrades is that sometimes the planet stays in one or two gates for a very long time, up to a couple of years. And so it's worth it to go and check that piece out. Now, Uranus is the last of the outer big planets to go retrograde, and it's going to happen in just a couple of days on the 24th. And then all of the big outer planets are going to be retrograde. So that's Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, and Jupiter. And they are all going to be retrograde through the middle of October. And then we're going to have Pluto and Saturn are going to go direct in October, but others aren't going to go direct until January. And then in the new year, we're going to have a period where everything is going direct. So what does this mean for you? It just can mean during this period of time when the planets are retrograding, it can feel like things kind of slow down. And if you are trying to create momentum for yourself and you feel like you're really pushing to make some things happen, kind of give yourself a break, take your foot off the gas, kind of see how the energy is actually flowing and see if you can tap into that deeper flow, because it's not like nothing's going to happen. And it's not that you have to completely stop or not do any of your projects or your launches or whatever it is that you're doing. But it does mean that it behooves you to pause and tune into this deeper flow, because what happens is when you are trying to make things happen, whatever your human design type is, and the energy is not there for that, you have to use a lot of your own energy in order to push things through. That will make you really tired, and if you do it consistently, it will burn you out. So I just really encourage you to pay attention to what you feel is this kind of larger flow of energy that's happening. Tap into your authority. For us generators and manifesting generators, that's always our sacral center. If you're emotionally defined, you want to pay attention to your emotional wave, but you still want to be asking your sacral, is it the right time to be doing things? Is it the right time to be doing something else? Like where should I be putting my attention and my energy? Because when all those planets are retrograde, it's kind of this time to review and reflect, rebuild, regenerate. It's more that than it is the time for really launching things, which is kind of ironic because certainly in the online education world and the online coaching world, a lot gets launched in the fall, right? So I'm just saying this because I want you to be tapped in and to have the support that you need so that you're not going to fry yourself trying to make things happen during this retrograde season. Okay, and like I said, if you haven't had a chance to look at the specifics, go ahead and check out that playlist. I'll put it up at the end of this video also so you can go and watch it because it, like I said, is very, very illuminating. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the transit that starts tomorrow. So Tuesday, August 23rd, the sun is going to move into the gate 59 and the earth is going to move into the gate 55. I do just want to note that we have got 5 different activations happening in the knowing circuit, and the gate 55 is in the knowing circuit. And so we've got a lot of overall individual circuitry that is activated during this particular transit. And when we have individual circuitry that is being activated, it's a good time for you to just be tapping into what's really true for you. What direction are you feeling sent in from the inside? What kinds of downloads are you going to be receiving and then acting upon? And then really kind of tapping into this deep sense of inner knowing, because it can guide you in a really beautiful way. Okay, well, let's take a look at that gate 55 that the earth is lighting up during this week. So the gate 55 is, as I said, it's on the knowing circuit and it's on the emotional solar plexus. So the emotional solar plexus is the emotional center, but it's important to understand that it's not so much the center for like our feelings as it is for the power of emotional energy. And we want to be able to really activate, harness, and direct our emotional energy where we want it to go, because that's one of the ways that we really manifest in our lives. And so understanding the emotional solar plexus, which is not in the chakra system, right? This is a relatively new center, according to the mythology of human design. And I think that it is there for us to understand the power of emotional energy, because it's an engine in the chart, okay? And the engine is where the power is. And so understanding that there is a lot of power in our emotional energy, we want to be in command of it, okay? We don't want to suppress it. We don't want to make it bad and wrong if we're feeling things that maybe, we're not so happy to be feeling. But we also don't want to be taken over by it. We don't want to be at the mercy of our emotional energy either. We really think of it as one of our resources. And so we want to be able to, like I said, activate it, harness it, command it, and direct it where we will. So the 55 is, in traditional human design, is known as the gate of spirit, and in quantum human design is known as faith. And it's very much connected to a sense of abundance. And not just abundance in terms of money, although it can be that, but it's like this abundance of emotional energy, like powerful emotional energy. But it is a sense of that we are going to have what we need when we need to have it, so that we will have the resources that are available to us when we need them. And I love this because it's such a great balance to the kind of mantra that we have in Western culture, which is about more is always better, right? We always need to have more money. And the thing is that the flip side of that is scarcity, which is that we never have enough. And that is a mantra that Western civilization is based on. It's what really imperialism is based on, right? Is that we're going to extract from the earth, we're going to extract from people everything that we can, and we're going to accumulate it. And what happens with colonialism or imperialism, and this is, the Romans really made this very popular, I guess we'll say, when they took over a big chunk of the world to a couple thousand years ago, right? Is that they would take over an area and they would colonize the people there, and then they would force them to give their resources to the Romans, and the money and the resources would go back to Rome. Okay. And so this is a very foundational piece of Western culture that we're still living in the shadow of. And we know in our consumer society that we're constantly receiving messages about how we should buy more. And don't you want something new? And isn't that thing that you had, isn't that really outdated now? And we have things, planned obsolescence, right? Things are going to break down and you have to get new stuff all the time. This is all a part of that same kind of worldview. The same way of thinking about what our role is as human beings, right? Which is to consume. And unfortunately, we've really seen the consequences of that, where we've consumed an awful lot of the earth to our detriment. So the 55 has a very different quality of energy to it. And it is about this faith that we will have what we need when we need to have it. And we do not need to accumulate. Right? And I think that this is the way a lot of more traditional peoples have lived is that they don't need to accumulate. They don't need to acquire and have more than they need. They just need however much they need at a particular time. I think this is a great lesson for us as more modern people, certainly people who are living more in Western countries and influenced by Western culture, to understand that we can start lowering our anxiety, lowering our ambitions, if you will, around accumulation, around having more, having a bigger car, having a bigger house, having more electronics, having bigger electronics, like all of that, to just go, okay, what do I actually really need? And what if I were to operate from the place of believing that I will have whatever I need whenever I need it, and that I don't have to freak out about it ahead of time, which is unfortunately how a lot of people live. They live with a lot of worry, and they're projecting their worry into the future to believe that they're not going to have enough. So the 55 is where we're grounding ourselves in, right? The earth is lighting that up for us. And it's just saying, really enjoy what it is that you have. First of all, the way to get out of scarcity is to have gratitude for what you already have, right? But then also to have a reality check with yourself about what do you actually need? Not what have you been programmed to think you should have, but what is it that you actually need? And a lot of times we can discover, wow, I just don't actually need that much. Like, I think about myself over the last few years when I moved to a ketogenic diet, and I also, like this last summer, I just did a juice cleanse and a raw cleanse, and still kind of halfway in that. And I realized how little food I actually need to eat. Like, I need to eat so much less food than I thought I did, or that I was programmed to. And I actually really like to eat. So there is the piece about just wanting to eat because I just like to eat. But, we've had way more than we need to. And so for me, learning to eat less and less and less, and to do that in a way that feels really good in my body and makes me feel really healthy, is awesome, right? And so you can think about what's true for you. Like, is there a place in your life where you're used to consuming more than you really need? It could be in food. It could be in alcohol. It could be in sugar. It could be in TV. It could be, a lot of different places where we've been conditioned to consume more than we need. So my suggestion, my invitation to you, while the earth is lighting up this 55, is to meditate on this for yourself and to really just, like I said, have a reality check. Take a look at the things that you think you have to have a lot of all the time, and ask yourself, is that true? Is it really true? Could I do with less? So then the sun is lighting up the gate 59. So the gate 59 is tribal circuitry. It's part of the defense circuit, and it is on the sacral center. So it's also a powerful energy, because remember, the sacral is the most powerful engine in the chart. So we've got like kind of supercharged gates happening this upcoming transit. And so the sun in the 59 is inviting us to really, again, look at our resources. So it's interesting. In traditional human design, the 59 was called sexuality. And in quantum human design, it's been renamed sustainability by Karen Curry Parker, who created quantum human design. And this is a very interesting shift here, right? So the defense circuit it's really kind of the familial part of the tribal circuit. And right now we have the whole channel lit up, the 59-6, and the 6 is on the emotional solar plexus. Oh, this channel is an energy for having children, taking care of children, bringing children up, procuring for children, providing for children, making sure children have what they need, or also the younger members of the tribe, not necessarily your own children, but, the next generation. And I think this is why Karen has renamed the 59 sustainability, because we have to understand, how can we live sustainably? I think sometimes the idea of sustainability gets a bit of a bad rap, because people automatically think, oh, that means I can't have the things that I love, right? which actually isn't really true. I think that we just really need to upgrade and revise our mindset around what is it that we actually need. And so we're getting that double message, right, from the 59 and the 55 during this transit for us to ask ourselves, are our lives sustainable? And you can take a look at your own life and think about how sustainable is your life. And this can have to do with like how hard you're working, right? Is how hard you're working sustainable or not? Where you're putting your energy, is that sustainable or not? What you're doing with your resources, because energy is one of your resources, your time, how you're spending your time, is that sustainable or not? The way that you're supporting the next generations, is that sustainable or not? How you're making money or receiving money or spending money, is that sustainable or not? And to just check that out for yourself, because as I said, a lot of times we've been programmed by our consumer culture to believe that we need things that we don't actually really need, or we need a certain amount of things that we don't really need. So this is a great time this upcoming week for you to just be checking that out for yourself. I find it interesting that this is this channel, which really, like I said, it's tribal circuitry. So it's about the next generation and who we are as a tribe. And there's things like how we're taking care of our elders also, or how we're treating our bodies, how we're treating the earth. Is that all sustainable or not? I also want to note that Saturn is retrograde in the gate 49, which is also tribal circuitry. And the 49 is all about relationships. And so Saturn is asking us and saying, are our relationships sustainable? Are they based on our principles? Do we need to revolutionize our relationships and our tribal relationships? And so there's a lot of energy here pointing us in the direction of kind of digging deep inside and asking ourselves, is what we're doing working, right? Is what we're doing with each other working? And if not, how can we upgrade that and how can we change it? There are many things that are possible that I think a lot of us don't know about and probably don't think about very much because we're not necessarily seeking it out. But I just did a class recently with a woman who was talking about circular economics, and she did a really incredible presentation about all the different possibilities of what we can do to reduce, not just reduce, reuse, right, recycle, which of course is one of the things that we want to do, but it's also about how do we create things that are going to last longer, or that we can repair, or that we can take the parts of it, either the parts of it or the materials of it, and use it again, so that we're creating a circle in the economy inside the system, so that we can use less of things and that we don't have as much waste. I will go ahead and put her name and the name of her book in the description, so you can go and check that out if you're interested. I've been doing a lot more research for myself to learn more about how can we become not just sustainable, but regenerative. Because that's also, I think, where we're at, is not just being able to say, okay, can we sustain this, but how can we regenerate ourselves, our own bodies, our own lives, our relationships, but also our world, our economy, how we're relating to the earth and all of that. And I have to say, I've been very happily inspired to be finding out about a lot of new things. So I'll put some more resources that are happening in the description for you. And I just want you to encourage, if this is something that matters to you, but you feel a little like, I don't know where to start, or I don't know what to do, I just want to let you know that there's lots and lots of people who are doing many more projects, and a lot more exploring, and a lot more strategizing. And there are definitely places where each one of us can contribute to that kind of a change. And I think that that is what the sun and the earth are going to be lighting up for us this week, which is really about how can we have the faith that we will have what we need when we need to have it, and how can we even move beyond sustainability into a regenerative economy, but not just an economy, it's like a whole way of thinking, which is not about throwing things away, or using things up or always having to do new things, but how do we live in relationship with our earth and with each other in a way that we're continually supporting ourselves and each other, to live in really satisfying and juicy and fun ways, but that are in right relationship. Okay, so that is my transit report for this week. I just want to encourage you, if you have not gotten your own copy of Transform Your Life with Human Design and the deep dive journal that goes along with that, that is a 75-page ebook that I have created. It's full color, it's gorgeous, and it will help you to read your own chart and get going with the fundamentals of human design. And I will put the link for that down in the description and also here at the end of the video. Okay, many blessings, much love.